Good evening. As you can see, we have a very dark video today. Technology has decided to gang up on me, unfortunately. Some of my lights aren't working, so I've had to resort to using a handheld lantern, which is just about generating enough light for me to make this video. So, silver lining. For this video I decided to answer some of your questions, which is something I haven't done in a while. Upon scrolling through the comments section of some of my videos, I noticed a few unanswered questions, so I guess I'll crack on then, shall I? Okay, someone has asked a very interesting question about the relationship between PDA, ODD, or oppositional defiance disorder, and performance anxiety. I suppose said person wishes to know what the differences are between the three conditions I just mentioned. Let's say we have a person with performance anxiety, a person with ODD, and a person with PDA. Now each individual may experience a need to avoid or defy, and all three may experience a refusal to perform of some nature, but the triggers giving rise to the refusals will vary depending on which condition they exhibit. Someone struggling with performance anxiety may be incapacitated by a fear of rejection, a fear of exposure, very low self-esteem, an obsessive fear of the worst case scenario befalling them. So before they perform in, say, a school play, their head would most likely be dominated by fear of the audience's perception of them. They may fear doing something embarrassing and humiliating in front of hordes of people, and performance anxiety could well be a facet of either extreme shyness or a larger problem such as a generalized anxiety disorder. ODD, or oppositional defiance disorder, on the other hand, is characterized by a kind of emotional fragility or sensitivity, or a persistent pattern of negative emotions such as anger. An individual with ODD may often find themselves in confrontation, particularly with an authority figure. They seem to have an unusually low tolerance or allergy to people. As I said earlier, their negative emotions may be long-lasting. Refusal to perform may arise from an altercation, such as with a teacher just before a school play. The lasting anger or annoyance of a person with OCD is unlike that of a person with PDA, whose emotions are far more fleeting and bouncier in nature, i.e. suddenly exploding at someone and then showing them affection moments later. People with PDA may find it difficult to commit to one feeling due to the bouncy nature of their emotions, much like a hard, fast and aggressive game of pinball. A person with PDA would likely refuse to perform following someone or something knocking them out of control. They may not be particularly self-conscious or reserved or crippled by self-deprecating thoughts, like someone with performance anxiety, but their ability to perform is entirely contingent upon how much control they feel they have. One other thing to note is that nowhere in the DSM or other existing literature on the topic is oppositional defiance disorder considered to be part of the autism spectrum, unlike PDA, which is a profile within the autism spectrum. So someone with ODD may have good social skills despite their extreme touchiness and low tolerance for people, and they may not struggle with repetitive or obsessive behaviours or have any kind of language problem, all of which are inherent to autism. Their problems lie in their difficulty in regulating their rampant emotions, which may give rise to defiance. Okay, someone else wants to know how they can improve their child's self-esteem. Well, this is a difficult one because if you are neurodiverse, then you may have noticed by now that you are living in a world which isn't always accommodating to people like you. People of our breed experience rejection from adults and our peers very early on in life at a crucial time in the brain's development. So we begin to interweave rejection with our budding identities, which may lead to further problems down the line when our personalities begin to become set in stone. I suppose I don't have any particularly profound remedies for this problem, but as someone who has struggled with low self-esteem as a very young child, I found that what helped me most was finding something I loved and was good at, and being around people who accepted me for the way I was, people who could actually see me. How you find such people, how you find going about finding such people, is down to you, and more power to you on your ardent pursuit for communion. We do exist. Any low self-esteem in any child would stem from not feeling adequate, not feeling good enough, and feeling inferior. So any opportunity you get to shine, embrace it and hold it dear, and seek to repeat it. If things seem bleak, try other things out. You may find that trying things out may set you up for failure if you find that you're not good at whatever it is you're trying out, which could set you back a little bit, but the truth is life is full of rejection. As much as people who are part of this movement strive for raising awareness on neurodiversity, we must bear in mind that the world is cruel. Our endeavour to raise awareness ought to be coupled with strengthening ourselves, which would adequately prepare us for the real world. And someone has asked whether I have ever experienced social anxiety. Yes, absolutely. I suppose my answer to this question was somewhat contained within the previous question. I was a very, very anxious child who had absolutely zero confidence before the age of about 10. I couldn't look at people in the eye, and eye contact is something people with PDA are often good at, which is true for me now, but when I was very young and had very little trust for everyone, almost everyone, looking into someone's eyes was like looking at the sun. I was very much like an island, feeling completely cut off from people. And in regards to awkwardness, I found that awkwardness arises from negating one's own character and or resisting authenticity. I would sometimes pour all my efforts into trying to be like a neurotypical person, and other people can pick up on whether or not someone is behaving in a way that comes naturally to them. The times when I've been accused of being awkward is when I've tried to be like a neurotypical person, because it feels so inorganic, unnatural and inauthentic to me. So I suppose you have to surround yourself with the right people. Nowadays I seldom struggle with social anxiety, but when I do, it's invariably caused by the presence of neurotypicals. Say, for example, I find myself in a conversation that is rather formal, colourless, characterless, and banal, then keeping the conversation at a superficial level makes me feel as though I'm a goldfish or a very small fish in open water, and I have an anvil tied to me for some reason, and it's pulling me down to the depths, but I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to keep up and above the surface, and it's just so heavy. And with some people who are willing to delve into the depths, I can just submit and relax And I need not feel anxious because I'm in my natural habitat and life just makes sense. So people, environment and activity are crucial for boosting self-esteem and eliminating social anxiety. I know it's difficult because we often feel like hamsters in birds' nests, but be grateful for that, because your story and road to recovery is a most eventful adventure, replete with experiences few neurotypicals will ever undertake.